Hello, everybody. How's everybody doing? I'm eating some leftovers, as that's what I've been doing lately for lunch. There's some leftover rice, and I made these gluten-free salt and pepper shrimp, and there was also some crab meat, fake crab meat, to fill it out. Um, I made that 2 nights ago, I think. I think when that was. And so just been doing shelf timber, using up what I have, making things from scratch, um, and some things more from scratch than I was expecting to do during shelf timber. Because as you've heard from other live streams, the little wrench that was thrown into things with Abby's trying a new diet for the FODMAP diet, so doing a lot of things from scratch. Because some of the stuff that I have in my freezer and in my cupboard that I either pressure canned or froze have onions and garlic in them for sure, because I cook with that all the time. Well, with that, I have to do stuff from scratch. So I had a turkey. I cooked it up, made bone broth from the turkey carcass, and without onions or garlic, I used other veggie scraps, and and I made some Vietnamese pho style. So I put lemongrass in there and ginger and basil, and then some just regular. Um, because that is what I was doing for supper last night. Was I made like a pho with rice noodles, and on the Monash app, Abby can have 8 wonton wrappers, and the filling of these wontons that I found didn't have onions or garlic in them. Yay! So she had that with the noodles and um, the turkey as the meat instead of like beef broth or anything like that. So that's what we had last night with the leftover sushi. Because Rowan made sushi on the night before, and oh, look at my phone before it dies. And we had leftovers. So we had leftovers last night sushi. We had leftovers of sushi. It was the cooked meat ones left over today for her lunch, and that's about it. I still have some leftover sushi. So, but so much cheaper to make your own, and almost as good. So, eating some rice and some shrimp. Um, just got to be able to sit down as I've had a very busy morning trying to do cleaning and dishes and stuff. So, remember, I had told you, I keep on telling you, I swear our last name should be changed to Murphy because Murphy's Law seems to go on in this house. So, before we went on vacation, our dishwasher died. Well, I wasn't going to start getting a dishwasher before then. So, I just did dishes from hand. First, tried to fix it, and then looked into it. And I really, ever since we got that new dishwasher, this was like probably about 7 or 8 years ago, I've hated it because it doesn't fit all of our dishes. The tines to hold dishes were too narrow, so I had to put dishes every second time, everyone over. So it only did like half our dishes instead of holding 12 or 14 dishes. It held like 6. I'm busy, so I'll be in and out. I'm doing okay. Abby's doing okay. We were at Chio yesterday, a scheduled appointment, 2 appointments, and we had her IV iron. She did really well there. Got that done and got home, and then she was exhausted because it's very stressful and very anxiety driven because she doesn't like needles for one, even though she's done it every 6 weeks since January. But and she went to school today, so I'm quite impressed that she went to school today because usually, so last year of school, every time that she had IV iron, the next day it like drained her. and she was too exhausted to go to school, or like just getting her up in the morning was rough. She was a bit late today, but she was late for her study period, not an actual class, so it's not as bad, in my opinion. But she went to school voluntarily. She's been putting the effort in, so her health, I think, has improved slightly since May, June of last year. Not a lot, like significant, not a significant amount. She's still exhausted and stuff, but and she's still dealing with the nausea and stuff like that. Because I was asking her how, like this past week, doing the FODMAP um, and diet of certain things. Certain things are fine. I have to go through every single ingredient. It's been so tiring. I'm exhausted reading labels and stuff like that. Doing stuff from scratch is not the problem. It's the all the little spices or spice mixes. So like I can't use some of my traditional spice mixes that I use because there could have garlic or onion in them, or different sugar, like the sorbitol and erythritol and agave and honey. And those are things, and apples, and what else is another one? Those are like the common, and some gluten, but not all gluten. Um, so some of the gluten-free stuff that I picked up were fine, but also some stuff that's not gluten-free she can have. So, and in very small amounts. So there is that. So it's been lots of reading and trying to do the best I can with the information. I'm sure I've messed up somewhere on there, but uh, we're doing the best we can. So she hasn't seen any improvements on symptoms. She's still nauseous, um, but from what I've read of the symptoms, nausea is not one of the symptoms that it will be helpful for. So I don't know. I'm hoping that we don't have to be on this diet for very long. If we can see an improvement in symptoms after, say, 3 or 4 weeks, then we can start reintroducing foods that she actually likes. Um, I took videos of her lunches this week. Um, she helped make them, or gave me ideas for them, but it was also limited as to what she's allowed. For example, 10 uh, almonds or 10 walnuts or 10 pecans. That's the amount. She can have more in 2 to 3 hours, but that amount is what she can have at once. So she's really been enjoying having nuts as part of her lunch, um, and that has, I think, really improved getting her some energy and stuff. Uh, and she's been eating her lunch, either most of the lunch I said, because it's like a lunch and snack. If it doesn't get finished when she comes home at 2, she finishes that, and then she's been having supper. And most days she's been having something first thing in the morning, whether it was cereal or a banana muffin that I had made, like a gluten-free muffin one, and or toast. But today she did not, because we were just too far behind. I had planned to bring her a muffin as we were walking to school, but I forgot. But she had plenty of other food in her lunch that I said, well, eat what you have when you're in class, because she gets time in her study period as well as at lunchtime. And if you need more food, text me. I can walk over and bring you food at lunchtime. But she didn't text me, so I figure she still had food. So Rowan's been doing good. She had her first test today. I don't know how that went at college, but she seemed to be prepared. So I'm hoping she does well. Mm. Oh, you're about to be driving. Where are you going? Are you going out for lunch? Because it's about your lunchtime. Hey, Amanda. Yeah, I'm eating leftovers. So the shelf timber has been really good at me identifying stuff in my fridge and freezer and pantry and using the stuff up. There's been a bit of shift on some things because of Abby's new diet. She can't have garlic or onions, which seems to be in like every sauce that's pre-made. So I've shifted gears instead of trying to use up some of these sauces that I either got for Christmas or for my birthday or in my stocking or I picked up for a specific recipe. Um, and then didn't end up making that recipe. I made something else with those ingredients and then didn't have the ingredients to make that recipe or forgot what the recipe was. Sometimes I have it in my head. Sometimes I'm shopping for groceries and I'm looking on Pinterest and I'm like, ooh, but then I kind of forget to tell myself after doing groceries what I wanted certain ingredients for. I'm not so good at that. um, but I wanted to, so I'm shifting it and trying to use other things in my pantry and stuff. So every week I'm going to be baking something to use up something in my pantry for lunches and snacks. I'm also going through, I've been going through the nuts in my cupboard, some of the open nuts. Some of them have been rancid, so I've been giving them to the squirrels and birds because they're still technically nutrient. They just have the oils have gone bad. So the birds and squirrels are having a field day. They're getting well fed. um, I made cereal bars with the leftover cereal. That was a huge accomplishment for me. Um, and next, I'm going to be making a soup with all the bits and leftovers of vegetables that are in my fridge. Make a nice turkey vegetable rice soup or something. Because I made the turkey stock and I have turkey. I have a bunch of vegetables, I also have a bunch of like little bits of leftover vegetables from this week. I'll just throw it in the pot. I'll make a big batch of soup for the weekend. And I'll probably freeze small containers of it. Um, that has always gone well in the past. Soup in my family seems to go well, especially in the fall and the winter. Not so much in the summer. But in the fall and the winter, it'll go well. So it's trying to use up the things. I don't like wasting things. So this week was paper and green bin. My green bin didn't have a lot of um, stuff in it because only things that went in it were stuff that had gone bad. Um, that was kind of out of my control, or things like we kind of didn't eat it all. Like we had a couple of croissants that didn't get eaten, and when we went to go to use them, they had already started going bad. So we're like, okay, that went in. But it was more of the stuff for the green bin was more of the end pieces of vegetables and stuff that had already pre-used to make the broth, or pieces that were not good. Like I just cut off the bad pieces and went into the green bin. So that was that this week. And I noticed a significant like I planned a plan and then I adapted it and just kept going like last night I was going to make something else, but since we had made so much sushi on Wednesday, supper on last night was sushi and then I made soup. Now I have still one thing of sushi and I have lots of leftover soup, but today I'm not making supper. Today our church is having a free corn roast and barbecue for the community and they're having a bouncy castle and other activities. So supper is that. Like it, yeah, the only soups I like in the summertime is like Vietnamese soup because it's like it's hot, but it's still a fresh ingredients. Um, but and honestly, I could have soup, but my family doesn't like it. And when I make soup, I can't make it for four people anyways. No matter how much I follow an actual recipe, it's never going to be for 4 to 6 people. It always seems to multiply, which is a great thing when you don't have a lot of food. But since I have quite an abundance of food that I want to use up, I want it to go. So I've been really good at with leftovers, eating it the next day, either myself or sending it with lunches, or reincorporating some of the leftovers into the next day's meal. I prepped a lot of food um, on the weekend for this week so that it was a little bit easier because I knew um, with this diet it would be a lot more labor intensive because I have to read ingredients and everything like that and trying new things and looking at the app. It's just like at the end of this, I should get a degree. It's like I'm going back to school. But um, this weekend, I hope I'm not going to go. No, I don't think I'm going to be going and getting. I might get bread. I have milk. It's fine. I don't have to. I'm not going to be doing groceries until sometime next week. So I haven't done groceries. I might make bread and I might buy bread because my husband likes fresh made bread, but not for sandwiches because it doesn't seem to work well. But I do have my Pullman bread loaf pan that I haven't christened yet. I haven't used it yet. I got for my birthday, I think last year or the year before, and it's been sitting in my kitchen waiting to be used. So I might do that since I have flour and yeast and water, salt, sugar. I am also almost low. I am low on eggs, so I'll probably pick up I the things I need: eggs and bread, um, and bacon. Because my husband's been wanting bacon, and I haven't been able to find it amongst the freezer. There might be some really down, but I'm short, so getting the stuff further down into the freezer and especially the deep freeze, I need backup. I need like Rowan with me to help hold the door and hold me so I don't fall in, but also so I can dump everything out of the freezer to get at the bottom stuff. Yes, we love bread. So he likes the fresh made bread at the store, and he's liked half of my breads. Some of my breads he's found as being too dense. Actually, speak of the devil, heard it from Angie. Guess I was at Chio yesterday. Abby had her first appointment at 10, and I'm in this special waiting room on the 6th floor, and I'm sitting there on my phone looking at recipes because that's what I like to do. And I see this the young boy come by, and I'm like, he looks familiar. And then I see his mom, and it's Angie. Angie and her son were going to that same waiting room. Like, so Chio has all these different waiting rooms for the different things. So he was going there for a psych assessment thing. His appointment started when Abby's finished. So I got to chat with her for like half an hour. I know it was nice. I got to chat with her for about half an hour. She's been really busy with work and the kids, and with hubby's accident of being injured, she's been kind of having to take on, taking the kids to school and back, like, instead of him doing that since he's at home. He's getting better, but still sore. So it was nice chatting with her, catching up and stuff, and she's been just busy with work, and which is good. So on Facebook, I think she might have even said it on. I don't know if she did a video up. He was riding his motorcycle. Okay, and a bee got into his helmet and stung him. So he's trying to get out. And then, like a second later, another bee got in, and he was trying to get out. And while he was slowing down to stop and he I don't think he slowed down enough when he put the brakes on, or he put the wrong, like, the front brake, and he kind of flipped and spun. So there's a bit of damage to his little motorcycle, but and he's fine, just bruised. So and then he went to the hospital because he got stung because, well, of course, he in the last time he got stung, he had a really bad reaction to it, like he's allergic to bees. So he kind of went to the hospital and got checked out to make sure that he was, they gave him, I think, some Benadryl, and he did react, but not as bad as the last time. So this was just last week. It was, I think it was the weekend before school started. Well, I mean, the good thing is that there was a car behind him and slowed down and helped him, like, once he fell, and helped him and stuff like that. And I think brought him to the hospital, or followed him. Like, his bike wasn't broken that he can't use it. Um, but there's going to be some repairs on it, and honestly, they don't have extra money to do the repairs. So I don't know if the repairs are just for cosmetic reasons, or if they're functional reasons, because he was able to finish, from after going to the hospital, he was able to finish riding his bike home because he was out in the country and that. So, um, but I haven't. That was his post on Facebook. Him being a guy and a glutton for punishment, he participates with some friends in a hockey league, and he did try to do hockey this week with some bruises, and he was feeling worse afterwards. Well, yeah, so you have insurance, but you have to pay the deductible, and that's the problem. You know, and even with insurance, like, I'm sure, I'm like, I don't know how much insurance is on a motorcycle. Like, I know he has insurance, because you have to, otherwise you're not allowed to drive. But um, and his bike isn't that old, so I'm sure it's not just for driving. But if, because he said something about the cost being like $1,000. Well, if his deductible is $1,000, not no point. The first $1,000 you have to pay anyways, and honestly, you don't have $1,000. Unless they have some hiding somewhere. But they are definitely paycheck to paycheck, and especially if they have to, like, they receive some disability and stuff, but that disability amount changes every month due to how much Angie earns. So as Angie earns more, that check goes down. So you can't really, I mean, you could figure it out yourself and do the math to have a better estimate, but it's kind of like roll the dice of how much it changes. So, and I don't think that they do the math as, as accurately as it would be. Like, you could kind of guess, okay, if I made $500 this month, that means about $200 is over what I'm allowed to make, and then half of that, my check will be deducted by about 100. But it's going to be even more coming November because of our wonderful conservative provincial guy Ford. He's screwing everybody over. He comes into power. He goes and cuts stuff in education. He cuts stuff with special needs. He cuts stuff. He's now cutting stuff with people on disability. So it used to be, so you got disability, and you or your house, like, so if, as a couple, if one person on disability, they're allowed to earn a certain amount of money. After that certain amount of money, dollar for dollar was 50%. Now he's raising it to 75%. So now if she made, say, $500, first $300 doesn't count, right? Now she made $200 over that $300. So instead of half, now it's going to be 75% of that is going to be deducted off of her check. So instead of $100, it's now going to be $150 deducted from her check. So she'll only get $50, like, get ahead $50. Like, the purpose of having it 50% before was to so that people can eventually work out of having to need disability or assistance of whatever, like here Ontario Works or whatever. But if you're deducting it by 75%, every $200 you're only getting ahead $50. It's really not a lot worth it. And neither one of them have employable skills that will give them a job that pays more than minimum wage. So they're kind of stuck in this rut unless they actually got like great hours or got a job that pays more than the minimum, which is few and far between. So I don't know. So you might be seeing more on her channel of more frugality and stuff like that. For us, we're coming into that season of politics where we get to vote in October. So in like 5 weeks, I think we get to vote. So I'm just praying we don't have a conservative government coming in federally, because when that comes in, then there's going to be more cuts to the federal programs versus, if we have conservative provincial and conservative federal, then there's cuts. But they don't. The problem is they cut from the working poor. They cut from the people who need it the most. They don't cut from the rich. Okay, they don't. They might cut a tiniest bit from the rich, but there's so many freaking tax breaks that if the rich actually paid the amount of taxes that they should pay by, just straight numbers, the amount, like the people, so I would consider my family middle class, or like we're at the low end of middle class. So there's like in Canada, like there's certain price ranges of how much income you have. Angie, from all things considered, I think she's her class is lower income. Ours is just a bit above that, just because my husband works for the federal government and has employable skills that pay him more than minimum wage. If I was back at work, if I was working even part-time, it might bump our income to the next level, and then we get taxed more. So I'm just giving numbers. I don't know these numbers legit because I haven't looked at our taxes, and that's just too much numbers and paperwork for me. But let's say if we're at a tax bracket and we're getting taxed at 20%, the next rung of taxes is 22%, and the next rung is say 24% or whatever, as per amounts that you have to pay. But so right now, me not working, we always get money back because my husband's job takes out the standard amount of income tax. Plus, we have medical deductions that we get to submit, as well as some other, and we also have two people with disabilities living at home that are we have the disability tax benefit, which means the first $10,000 of your income is non-taxable. So that in itself brings us down to whatever level we were at. If I was working, my minimum job, I'd be making in my field, 20 to $30,000 part time, um, but that of not necessarily take home because you get so much things taken off your CPP, your taxes, your disability, your workers' comp, and all that stuff. So, and then in that case, we would also have to, like, my other pockets of money would have to increase. So, for example, if I went back to work, I would have to get a couple of things recertified. Like I recently just got my first aid CPR recertified. I got that done for free during my volunteer job. They offered it, so I'm like, yay! But I would have to get work attire that had closed toe, like basically attire like a nurse would have. So I'd have to get scrubs and all that stuff, and work shoes, steel toe shoes. So there's a couple $100 right there that I don't have because it's been 15 years since I've had to wear these pieces of clothing, and I got rid of most of the stuff I had before. Um, and so I would have to do shopping, and I hate shopping. Um, but that is something that we've been thinking about. But each time we've been thinking about it, something has come up. Now, I'm just glad I haven't had to be working outside of the home because it's enough work working inside the home. There's one person doing all the cleanup and laundry and cooking, and now cooking from scratch, from scratch, from scratch, um, and taking to appointments and stuff like that. I have friends who have kids similar situations health wise going to appointments, and they've used up all their sick days. They've used up all their appointment days at work. That God forbid their child is sick again, and it's only September, so they've used it all for the year, or they get sick, they're screwed. Like, and I told them, especially like a couple of my closest friends ones, I'm like, well, if your child gets sick, if you get called home, call me. I'm at home 90% of the time. I could probably help you out and watch your kid because I don't mind watching a kid that's sick. I mean, I might get sick myself, but I'm usually pretty good at not getting sick, other than I was a couple weeks ago with that flu that came from, I don't even know where it came from. It hit me and hit my family, and it hit a couple people that I knew that came by like the day after I got sick. It hit them like, a train wreck. So, um, I'm hoping that's my sickness of the year. I usually don't get sick, and if I do get sick, it's so mild. It's just it take some cough syrup and I'm good. Uh, but so so it's like Friday the 13th. Did you know that today is also a full moon? So this has not happened. A Friday the 13th with a full moon. It's a harvest moon. This has not happened in 20 years. And the next time it's going to happen, it's in another 30 years. So it's kind of a very unique and rare occurrence. Um, so I read that this morning. Also, I don't really put any thing into the superstition of Friday the 13th or 13th being a negative number. It's not my favorite number, but the superstitions and stuff behind it is not really doesn't really have any weight for me. My mother was born on the 13th, and I believe it was a Friday as well. I can actually I could even check that. Um, October. Oh no, it was a Wednesday. Sorry. So she was born on the 13th. I was just like, I would want to Google it. Um, So she was born on the 13th. My nephew is also born on the same day as my mom's birthday. So that's nice that since my mom has gone, there's another birthday to bring happiness on that day. And I had a friend in high school that their birthday was the 13th. And really, it's not like people who believe in superstitions put the power into superstitions. The superstitions themselves have no power except for the stuff that you put into it. Same with like certain beliefs and faith. Like for example, if you have faith in whatever in God, in your God, or in whatever, you're putting the power into it. So it has only the amount of power that you give it. So that's why you should have, put faith in yourself, into your skills, into your life, into your family and stuff, so that you can give the power back to your family. But got sidetracked there on Friday the 13th. But and I've never been really into scary movies, really. Like I like Halloween just because of dressing up and trick or treating and stuff like that. But the scariness of it is not really my thing. Now, one of my friends is like so big on scary movies. Like I think she's like desensitized from all the scary movies. But it's just not my thing. I like a good rom com or sci-fi fantasy book or a movie, um, a comedy, not really documentary. So, hey Tenzing, how's it going? Just chit chatting here and talking about a whole bunch of stuff. One thing about shelf timber and using stuff up in your fridge, freezer, and pantry, doing shelf cooking. We talked about how today, Friday the 13th, is also a harvest moon, a full harvest moon, and that hasn't happened in 20 years on the same day, as well as it won't happen again for another 30 years. I got an appointment. Gotta go. Okay, bye, Tom Tom. Have a great day. Enjoy your day. Enjoy the sunshine if it's that's happening with you. I'm hoping the sun stays out until at least 7:30 tonight because our church is having a free corn roast barbecue with bouncy castle and activities and stuff for the kids um, this evening. And this morning, Google said there was a chance of showers this evening. But when that is, I don't know. I'm hoping it's after 7:30 because honestly, we have a lot of corn that we ordered from the farm, like straight from the farm. And we have a lot of hot dogs and sausages that we picked up. That we have a lot of food that we want to give to people. Otherwise, we're going to be stuck with a lot of food. And there's only so much corn one person can eat. Past 7 here already. Well, what appointment are you going to? That's past 7. Okay, well, bye, Tom Tom. Hopefully, you have a great night and enjoy your appointment. Is it a full moon? Do you see a full moon since it's nighttime where you are? Oh, yeah, don't forget to give a thumbs up. Ouch. Okay. Um, so today I've been just doing lots of dishes and cleaning because our dishwasher died. And we ordered a new one, but it won't be here. The earliest it'll be here possibly Monday, but most likely sometime next week. So you never realize how much dishes you have until your dishwasher goes. Because we've been purposely eating as much as possible off paper plates so that we don't have as much dishes to wash, and only using the glass plates and bowls for things that really you should do it. And same with pots and pans. And I've just been doing dishes all the time. Plus, I've been cooking from scratch a lot more because of Abby's FODMAP diet. So there's been like two or three pots and pans for every thing I'm making. 6 hours in front of meat. Oh, sitting there for at a pub. Oh, nice. Are you gonna go for like dinner at the pub? Here are we have a couple of bars or pubs like O'Connor's and stuff. They're like Irish pubs or English pubs where they have a decent menu of kind of what we call pub fare. So there's like usually burgers and sandwiches, um, appetizers, some dishes like a lasagna or a shepherd's pie or something like that. But not like frou-frou food. And they usually have like microbreweries and local wines and cocktails and stuff like that. And usually on Friday nights, most of them will have a live band of some sort. Sometimes, most times, it's a local band, so somebody needing exposure that's basically getting paid in beer. Probably, I've seen a few of those that are like, here we'll give you a Friday night from 8 till 10 or whatever. You can play then, and we'll pay you in beer. But so this weekend, what do I have this weekend? There's nothing really planned for this weekend, other than at some point between now and next week, I want to go to IKEA. The kids are at school still, so it's 1 o'clock, and Abby's school doesn't get done until 2:10, and Rowan's in college. So depending on the day, she gets off. Like for example, today she gets off at 1, so she should be home probably by 2, unless they let her out early. And she had a test today. And let's see, like Tuesdays, she's at school all evening. Like she goes to school. I think it's like 1 or 2 is her class, so she leaves here about 12. So she'll stay home and then she'll eat lunch and then go to school, bring package up something for supper, and because she has class, like I think she has like um 2 to 4, and then 4 to 6, and then an hour break, and then from 7 to 8 or whatever. So some classes are 1 hour, some are 2 hours, and some are 3 hours. Like on Wednesday, she only goes to school for one class. But it's at 8 o'clock in the morning, and I think it's a 3 hour class. But lately, I guess with things, they've just been doing a lot of like uh, admin type stuff of getting onto the school's website and getting on, being able to access the teachers portal and the students portal and all that stuff. So they've been ending the class early because she went to school. I think maybe it's about a 2 hour class because she went to school for her 8 o'clock class. She got there early at 7:30, and by 9 they let her out. So she was at school for less time than it takes her to get to and from school, because it takes her from home about 40 minutes, unless unless it's rush hour or the buses get delayed. But once she's on the bus, it takes about 40 minutes. So that's not too bad. And that's one of the reasons why we said to her, like, stay at home when you go to school, save that money, because I know people who go and live on residence, you're paying just for your room about $1,000 a month, plus the food plan, which is a couple $100 a month. So it's at least $200 a month. And sometimes it's not even a full plan. Like sometimes it's like two meals and a snack, or it's a plan that puts so much money on it, and then when you tap it, it's just taking the amount of money, whatever you bought, off of it. Which I guess you're getting exactly what you put into it, but you can't get any kind of deals from that. Um, so, but I, I mean, the benefit is that you're living right next to school campus, so you could sleep in longer. There's not really traveling to class. Plus, um, staying on campus to do work is just as convenient as going home to do work. So there's that too. Plus the location of the college. There's a big, huge Loblaws and mall there with like clothing stores and other type stores, um, as well as like parks and like just a lot of things really close to the college. It's not quite downtown, so it's more in the West End, so that's nice. I'm hearing the birds. I have the windows open because it's so warm. What teeth? They're fine. She naturally has a gap, just because of the way her teeth are, because of the Axenfeld-Rieger syndrome. So she has less teeth in her mouth than than the normal person, and some of her teeth in her mouth do not have any adult teeth behind them. So she has, I think, 8 teeth that do not have adult teeth behind them. Same with her sister. So they have a gap between their front teeth. And at some point, we've talked about getting the Invisalign or braces and stuff, but she is being more difficult with getting them. And her sister has to get some stuff done too, because she has a bit more of a Rowan has a bit of crowding at the bottom, where a lot of food particles, like from steak or meat, get stuck in there. But the teeth are healthy. Actually, we're going to the dentist on Tuesday for a cleaning. So there's that. How are things with you? Things are great. Well, that's good. It's great to hear. Here comes Princess, I think. Are you gonna come up here, Princess? And she's like, oh yes. Here, bring this down. There she is. Hello. Well, it must be nice and warm there in Indonesia. Is it like a rainy season or that? See, this is Princess. We say hello. She's like, Mommy fed me. Oh, then you're gonna go. Oh, she's going to go to the sun. So rained a bit today. That cat loves to lie in the sun. And the way that our house is facing, we get only sun in the back windows here for a bit. Like in the summertime, the sun will come into the house about this far, and in the wintertime about that far, just because the way that the angle of the sun is. So having plants in the house does not really do well. even when I try and start some stuff, some seeds from scratch and stuff, it doesn't really stay. Like I'm praying for like a dry spring so I could bring them out into the versus it being a wet and cold one because you want to leave them outside as much as possible. Oh, here's Peter. You gonna come up here, Peter? He's like, okay, maybe. You gonna come here? We put bells on him so that we can find him. See, here's Peter. Oh, yes, headbutting me. Yes. Oh, he's decided, I'm going to lie down now. Hey, there he is. Oh, yes. He's purring up a storm. Yes. Oh, yeah, don't stop. You guys, big belly. Where were you sleeping? Don't bite me. Well, it's supposed to rain this evening. I don't know what time, but I hope after 7:30 because at the dark. No, 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 no. You're just purring away. No. See, he's not even using his nails. Oh, yeah. Just an awkward angle. Okay. Well, it's been nice to chat with everybody. I'm gonna have to get going because I have about half an hour to finish off doing the dishes and stuff that I had that's I have right now soaking. And yes, fingers crossed after 7:30 because I want everybody that's coming to actually be dry while they eat corn and sausages and chips and whatever else is there because we purchased a lot of food and we want it to go. Well, it's been nice chatting with you. Thanks for stopping by. And Peter says bye. And Princess says bye too. Have a great day.